Alien Instructor hit a human child. Then the Deathworlders attacked the galaxy. First strike echoed through the pristine halls of the Galactic Education Consortium like a thunderclap. Instructor Velreth's chitinous appendage connected with 8-year-old Marcus Chun's shoulder, sending the small human tumbling across the polished floor of the xenobiology classroom. Insufficient comprehension. Velreth clicked in the universal tongue, mandibles twitching with irritation. Human cognitive deficiency confirmed. The other students, a collection of young beings from across the civilized galaxy, watched in stunned silence. Most had never seen physical discipline administered to any species, let alone the strange bipedal mammals from the recently contacted Terra. Marcus pushed himself up on trembling arms, tears streaming down his face. The purple bruise was already forming on his pale skin, a stark reminder of the power differential between the towering Velkari instructor and the fragile human child. Velreth didn't know was that every human student in the Paula Consortium carried a biomonitor linked directly to Earth's diplomatic cores. What he couldn't have anticipated was the speed at which information traveled through human networks. What he failed to understand was the fundamental nature of human protective instincts. The alert reached Admiral Sarah Morrison aboard the UES Prometheus in 17 minutes. "Ma'am," Communications Officer Torres said, her voice tight with barely controlled rage, "we're receiving a priority alpha from the consortium. One of our children... Morrison's jaw clenched as she reviewed the biometric data and security footage. She had spent 3 years negotiating humanity's entry into galactic civilization, carefully balancing diplomacy with the underlying truth that humans came from a world that had tried to kill them every single day for millions of years. "Send a message to Fleet Command," Morrison said quietly. "Authorization Morrison 77 Alpha. Tell them the Terran Accords have been violated." Across human space, ships began moving. The Velkari had ruled the Education Consortium for 8,000 years. Their crystalline homeworld had produced the galaxy's finest scholars, their rigid hierarchical society perfectly suited to the systematic dissemination of knowledge. They viewed themselves as the shepherds of lesser species, guiding young minds toward enlightenment. They had never encountered a species that viewed the view, protection of children as a biological imperative stronger than self-preservation. The first human ships arrived at Consortium Station Beta 7 within 6 hours, impossible by every known law of physics. The sleek vessels that emerged from hyperspace weren't the diplomatic cruisers or research vessels the galaxy had grown accustomed to seeing. These were Predator-class destroyers, their hulls black as the void between stars, bristling with weapons that had never appeared on any technical specification shared with galactic authorities. Captain James Rodriguez opened the channel to the station. His voice carried the calm certainty of a man who had spent his career hunting pirates in the Outer Rim. "Consortium Station Beta 7, this is Captain Rodriguez of the UES Retribution. We're here to collect our children. Any resistance will be met with appropriate force." Station Commander Dexani's 6 eyes widened as his sensors registered the energy signatures coming from the human vessels. "Captain Rodriguez, surely there's been some misunderstanding. The consortium operates under Galactic Treaty 847B. Your ships are not authorized to..." "Commander," Rodriguez interrupted, "you have 30 standard minutes to transfer all human students and staff to our ships. After that, we begin collecting them ourselves." The ultimatum sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Never in recorded history had a member species threatened the consortium. The very idea was unthinkable. The Education Consortium was neutral territory, protected by treaties older than most civilizations. But humans had a saying, "Touch our kids and see what happens." What happened was war. Not the civilized, regulated conflicts that occasionally flared between galactic powers, those ritualized exchanges of territory and resources that were settled by committee and arbitration. This was something the galaxy hadn't seen in millennia, total warfare waged by beings who had evolved to be the apex predators of a world that specialized in creating apex predators. The human fleet that assembled at the edge of consortium space defied every strategic analysis. Ships appeared from nowhere, their stealth technology rendering them invisible until they chose to reveal themselves. Weapons that violated energy conservation laws tore through shields designed to stop stellar phenomena. Humans fought with a coordination that suggested hive mind capabilities, yet maintained the individual initiative that made them impossible to predict. Velrith watched from his detention cell as human soldiers swept through the station. They moved with purpose that bordered on the supernatural, every gesture economical and precise. Their leader, a woman whose nameplate read LT Colonel Martinez, approached. His cell with eyes that held the cold calculation of a hunting cat. Instructor. Velrith, she said in perfect Velkari, you struck a human child. The creature was, Velrith began. Martinez raised her hand, and he fell silent. Something in her posture triggered every prey instinct his species had developed over eons. Of evolution. That child's name was Marcus Chun. He was 8 years old. He was trying to learn about your culture because he thought it was fascinating. Martinez stepped closer to the energy barrier. Did you know that human children on Terra regularly survive conditions that will kill most adult sapiens in this galaxy? Did you know that they do this while their brains are still developing, while they're learning to be human? Velreth's mandibles clicked nervously. What you did to Marcus would be considered a minor disciplinary action on most worlds, Martinez continued, but you did it to one of our young. And humans, Instructor, have a very specific response to threats against our offspring. The lights in the corridor dimmed as more human ships docked with the station. We're not here for conquest, Martinez said. We're not here for territory or resources or political advantage. We're here because you hurt a child, and we want you to understand something about the species you've just encountered. She leaned closer to the barrier, her voice dropping to a whisper that somehow carried more menace than any shout. We're from a death world, Instructor. Everything on our planet evolved to kill everything else. The storms that cross our oceans can flatten cities. Our predators hunt in packs with intelligence that rivals most galactic species. Our plants produce toxins that can kill with a touch. Our very atmosphere would be poisonous to most life forms. Velrith pressed himself against the far wall of his cell. And after 4 billion years of evolution in that environment, after countless species rose and fell and were ground to dust by the relentless brutality of Terra, one species survived to reach the stars. Do you know what made them special, Instructor? Do you know what gave them the edge over creatures with claws and teeth and venom and armor? Martinez smiled, and Velrith finally understood why prey animals across the galaxy shared the same expression of terror. They protected their young. The consortium surrendered 17 hours later. The human fleet withdrew as quickly as it had arrived, taking their children and leaving behind a galaxy that had learned a fundamental truth about their newest members. Marcus Chun returned to Terra with his classmates, the bruise on his shoulder already fading. He would grow up to become a xenodiplomat, working to build bridges between species and prevent the kind of misunderstanding that had brought humanity's warships to consortium space dock, but every species in the galaxy would remember the lesson learned. That day, humans were not just another member of galactic civilization. They were the children of Terra, forged in the crucible of the most hostile world ever cataloged, and they protected their own.